This is Ned's NRL Unpopular Opinions with Gerald Yoyi, Oscar Panafix, Liam Fogarty, and Ryan Cook.
You're listening to another episode of the Ned's NRL Unpopular Opinions podcast. My name is Liam.
Yay!
I will be making my hosting debut today. Ryan has gone down with the Rona.
Has he?
So
You know what? It's going
The old
around.
Curtis Rona,
It's-
eh?
it is.
It's everywhere.
It's no good. Magic Round clearly got the best of him.
A lot of people, I think.
Yep.
What a pussy. Anyway.
Look, you're stuck with us today. If you haven't switched off in disgust, allow me to introduce you to the king of Caxton Street to the right, Brisbane Broncos legend Gerald Yoyi.
Jeez, what a Friday night we had.
Oh my God.
Couldn't go anywhere. Couldn't walk anywhere. Jeez, it
without
was
you,
fun.
we couldn't.
It was
Yeah,
enjoyable, wasn't
I
it?
could go wherever I wanted. You, on the other hand, got dragged into this scrum almost all the way through Caxton.
Yeah, that was enjoyable, boys. Good Friday
It was
night,
a good-
lefties.
it was a good night.
And I'm glad we could all do it together.
Yeah, and then sitting on the other side of me, as
will be
always, is my X's and O's guy, the man I once beat at Suncorp Stadium, Mr. Oscar Panafix. How are you, mate?
Put out the old retro Griffith Dragons
Yeah,
merch
it's about-
for today's pod, I
About
see.
time we gave the Griffith Dragons a shout out. They're top of the table at the moment. Beat your Hounds the other day.
Yes, yeah. Look, it's a long season, mate. You don't win comps in whatever month we're in right now.
We haven't won,
But
comp in a very
rest
long time
assured.
anyway. Look, we obviously hung out together on Magic Round Friday. How did you boys finish up?
Yeah, big.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not going to say Magic Round's always going to be big. There would be when I think I feel like a piece of shit. There's probably someone worse off than me.
100%.
That's how I attack. The
Yeah.
weekend and go, well, what was I thinking? I did go away on the Saturday and go play some golf with my friends in the middle of nowhere. Thank God I got and did that, because I would have said it would have been a repeat of the 2 years before. I blacked out last year and the year before that as well. So I actually had some sense about me on the Friday night.
You removed yourself from the situation.
Yeah, I did.
I certainly did black out. And so when I was trying to put the pieces back together, I was stressed and I was like, did I
Do something wrong?
Did I piss you boys off? Did I do something wrong? And then I remembered that Dylan from the AFL
Oh my God.
Punting Podcast
I knew
This
this
is the
was coming
best.
up.
almost got his head dented in by Matt Nable. So that solved my Sunday scaries almost straight away. I was like, look, no matter what I did to the boys, I didn't piss off Matt Nable. So
Bro,
He was not impressed.
Yeah, we had to get him away from that neighbour. I don't know if it was just because he was chewing his ear off. I think that might have been it.
the bad
Mate,
impression wasn't
Well,
good.
it was a bad.
Yeah.
But look, mate, we were. He was not impressed from hello. I don't think. I don't know.
Yeah,
how
it
much
probably
we'd
didn't
done
help.
wrong at that point.
Yeah, it probably didn't help me going to Matty. Introduce me to people like you. And the voice as well after a while.
Have a look
He
at this
did it
one.
anyway.
Yeah.
He did it anyway. We love you, Matty. We love you. And I've had beers with him several times. So it was probably okay coming from me, probably not other people.
Just the last time we take Dylan upstairs to the Caxton, I think.
Last time we take Dylan anywhere.
Yeah, I think that is a full stop. All right, boys, let's jump into some actual rugby league. There's been a fair few headlines this week,
Yeah.
some good and some bad. Let's
Juicy
talk
stuff.
about the ones we should touch on and avoid the other ones. Starting with the coaching carousel.
Yeah.
Yeah, you called this. You did.
I did.
I think. And I just couldn't see this happening. But here we are with Brad Arthur.
Yep. Yesterday or the night before, Parramatta announced effective immediately that Brad Arthur has been let go. He was the Parramatta coach for 11 years, 263 games in charge, but not a lot to show for it. How do we feel about this one, boys?
Yeah, look, I think I said a few weeks ago, I thought that some of those players they looked like they were playing for a change in the coach's box. I mean, in saying that, some of the stories that have come out since BA was sacked about the players getting around him and sending him, flowers and bloody beers and all sorts of stuff, like that speaks volumes about who he is as a person. And I think he's done a hell of a job in over 10 years at the club. Like any NRL coach who can hold a job for 10 years,
Hell of an innings.
has to be doing something right. I think his development, particularly of some kind of fringe first grader forwards coming through that system over the last few years. Guys like Isaiah Papali'i, Bryce Cartwright, Ryan Madison, Sean Lane, Jermaine Hopgood recently. Like, there's a lot of positives to speak for BA's time at Parramatta.
Yeah.
And in saying that, I also think it probably was time for a change.
Yeah, and I think in, 11 years, like you said, the game changes a lot as well, and you can't sort of they sort of haven't developed. I think in the last 2 or 3 years they've sort of gone backwards in the way the type of footy they play. And as a coach, I'm not at this level, but as a coach myself, I think that's the hardest thing you find is to try and find changes in your game, how you coach, what do you do? Because being the nice guy, I suppose, and having everyone on your side away from footy is all good and great, but tactically you've got to be sound. And in this day and age, we've got coaches who are so smart in changing each year, trying to figure out where to better their players, and maybe that just wasn't for him.
Is it hard to change your tactics when you've made a grand final 2 years ago as well?
Well, that's what I mean. That's probably it. There's probably things that he didn't think needed to be fixed. Maybe they just weren't. Maybe even the players were losing a little bit of, this is getting boring as well. But they probably wouldn't say that. But yeah, it just looks like they haven't been the best footy side in the last couple of years. And there's nothing wrong with a change. Like sometimes clubs just need it. He's been there for 11 years. So it's a long time.
Yep.
One of the longest standing coaches in the league.
It's almost 300. It's almost a 300 game. You talk about at one club. It's huge. So
massive.
Kudos to him. I think he's done the right. I think they've done the right thing, and for him to come out as well and praise, not where he is now, but all the journey he's been through and everything that he's done. It shows what type of coach he is.
Who do you reckon replaces him, boys?
Yeah, that's a bloody good question.
It's a great question. It's do they leave it for this year, or do they get someone?
Surely.
Because they're not getting any better, are they? You've got to try and avoid that spoon.
Yeah, and it's a roster situation. Yeah, it's a roster situation as well. Like Moses missing for the majority of this season has not helped. I think people are forgetting that 2 or 3 years ago they let go a very promising up and coming hooker in Reid Marnie to bring Josh Hodgson to the club at a time where Josh was a maligned figure, I guess, in rugby league circles, but one of the best dummy halves and ball playing dummy halves in the game. He managed 5 or 6 games and then bounced. Joey Lussick, he's doing a job in there now. You could argue, and I think BA probably did argue this in the meetings, that roster still needs a few tweaks to it before they're ready to contend genuinely for finals again.
Well, there was obviously chat about Wayne going there.
Yep.
That was huge for even Parramatta, even if he was looking at going there, and even the conversations that I heard that they were having.
Yeah.
That's good signs. That someone like Wayne
was considering it.
Yep. So obviously he sees something there. So, is it is it your old mate? As he goes straight in? Yeah.
I don't. I'm not sure.
Or do you think he just needs to keep doing what he's...
You said it 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
He needs to do his time over at Warrington. They've just made themselves... I think they just made the Challenge Cup final over there. So he's doing some good things there. Is Todd Payton going to be looking for a new job soon?
Justin Holbrook is another one.
He was
Michael Checker, ex-Wallabies coach, is another one that wants to dip his toes in the NRL.
Why do we
Moses as well?
Yeah,
I know that. I get that they've worked together, but why do we look to? Has always been in rugby league?
I see.
Checker?
The only rugby league coaching he's done is for Lebanon in 1 or 2 World Cup series, and then he's obviously voiced an interest in. Yeah, I think if I was playing. If I was to pretend that was something I was interested in, I think that model would look like Checker bringing in some rugby league minds to do the X's and O's, and then he's more of that kind of
poke holes in the air.
Yeah, that's right.
Jason Demetrio,
another one
JD.
looking for a role.
Yeah, look, he's when you think about it in the scheme of things, he's the one that's the most recent and hasn't left the game, so only just left the game. So, does he? I don't know. Does he come in for the rest of the year? Does he want to go back into it? I don't know. Or does he? Yeah. Does he sign a 1 or 2 year contract? I don't know. There's a lot to talk about in that, and I don't really care about Parramatta. I don't really give a
Well, speaking of Jason Demetriou, his successor was officially announced yesterday.
Yes, it was.
Wayne Bennett will officially return as the coach of your Bunnies, Oscar. He signed a 3-year deal that starts next year.
Yep.
I reckon I'm just going to give you the floor here. Are you happy? Are you sad? What's going on?
Yeah, I'm happy. I think this is the first time in Wayne Bennett's entire career that there's even been a discussion around whether it's a good idea for him to go to a club. Like, have we ever heard people say, but what about this or what about that in regards to bringing Wayne to a club? We've never seen it. What's happened at the last few clubs that he's left? You look at obviously most recently South Sydney kind of collapsing since Uncle Wayne left. I think those are valid, points of discussion. I think right now Souths are going to struggle to sign anyone unless they've got a guy like Wayne.
It's a good marquee signing to start with.
Bringing him in automatically puts us in a top 3 or 4 seat to sign anyone on the market because of the gravitas he has as a coach.
Yeah.
So I think for that reason alone, I think it's a good signing.
Did also come out and say that he would not poach anyone from the Dolphins, which I think is BS.
He's getting some.
I think that
Trade
is
Fuller's
BS.
on his way.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's there'll be kids there that are on the fringe that are probably not going to play first grade that he's just going to go, come with me. Yeah. And he'll turn them into footy players.
Well, Jake Averillo's already spoken about, or has already been mentioned as being moved on for next year. He can play in a couple of positions that Souths are lacking in now. So too, Trey Fuller.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's going to be interesting. But I do like seeing Wayne go back there. I think it's great for not only the club but the community, the area, whatever he's going to do around that. I think a lot of these boys will find themselves again being coached by Wayne, and whether that's with all these dramas of people being in trouble off the field, I think he'll whip that into shape real quick. Real quick.
Very, very nice. All right. One of the saddest headlines to come out of Magic Round this weekend, especially if you're a Queenslander, it's been officially announced that Cameron Munster could see up to 10 weeks on the sideline after re-aggravating that groin injury. Look, I think this officially now confirms Queensland are underdogs, which locks us in for a 3-0 win. Look, the two obvious replacements for Munster are Dearden, who's already proven himself at this level, and Ezra Mam, who seems to get better every week. My head says Dearden, my heart says Ezra. I'll start with you, Gerald. Where do you think Billy goes?
I'm in the same boat as you. I think it's Tommy. I think he'll get his chance again, and there'll be Ezra Mam will be 18th man.
I think that's the way to do it.
I think that's the way to go. And like looking at our mate over here, he's like,
I'm scared.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter who we like.
No.
As much as it is news that it sucks. I would have rather this happen now than in an Origin game. Yeah, so true. Otherwise we lose Munster and we don't. We don't have someone. Well, there's always someone ready. It doesn't really matter, but you need your spine. You need your spine ready to go from the start. And if he's going in with any doubts from day one, we do like to, talk about a flu going through camp or injuries going through camp. But yeah, it's not an issue. Like, 2 or 3 years ago, I think we go, well, who do we put there? But both of these kids are ready to go.
We've certainly got the talent there now.
Exactly. And I talk about them as kids because they're still so young. Yep. But geez, they're impressive when they play footy, especially when they put a maroon jersey on. Tommy did a great job. I think Tommy will get his chance. But you know what? Billy Slater is this guy just to throw curveballs. And he's always talked about players who are in form. Yep. And he has openly spoke about Ezra Mam being the in-form, other half in the competition. So, I would not be surprised if Ezra Mam goes in front of Tom Dearden, or they both go into camp and he doesn't give away what's going to happen.
They have a bit of a half battle almost.
Actually, he's not even like that. He'll name the team from start. He'll name the team from the start. He won't give anyone put anyone guessing. He'll just name it from the start. But Ezra Mam is right there, and. Any Titans fans out there this weekend, you don't want to be a Titans fan because if he's paying for a Queensland jersey, he's going to turn one on 2 o'clock at Suncorp Stadium on Sunday.
Where's your head at, Oscar?
Yeah, I agree with both you guys. I think obviously the logical choice is Dearden, but to me, this feels a lot like exactly what Billy did with Reece Walsh and Kalen Ponga a year or two ago.
Yeah.
In terms of you got a guy in KP and Dearden who are proven, who have done it before, who are arguably the safer, less risky option, stronger defenders, maybe a little bit less off the cuff. But then, you can't deny what Walsh did in that series last year, and you can't deny what Ezra's done over the last 12, 18 months, filling up in different positions when Reynolds is out or when Billy Walters is out or when Reece Walsh is out. He's filled different roles. He's got a combination with Reece and with Cobbo. It's 6 of one, half a dozen for the other for me.
Yeah, and it's a good headache to have for us.
Another great headache.
Because when Cameron Munster goes down, we all think, shit, what's going to happen here? Not the case at the moment.
We've got migraines all over the field.
I
haven't
know,
we? And
it
I'm
is.
so happy
It is
about
good. It is, and we hope Money gets back to full health. He might not even play this Origin series.
I don't think he will.
so.
Like having one of these young fellas play a full series is just going to make us even better.
Yeah, and it's a perfect way. It's a perfect, but it's a perfect way to do it right now because you're never going to sit Cameron Munster out.
No.
He's still got 3 or 4 or 5 years left in him in Origin. Yep. Daly Cherry Evans has probably got 1 or 2. Yep. I mean, we keep saying that he might have 4 or 5 as well.
He's just getting better.
I know.
Yeah.
So it's the best way to do it. You have all your teammates in there. Oh yeah, it's really cool. It's really good.
Man, our development's good. All right, Indigenous round is this weekend.
Yes, it is.
Round 12, one of the great rounds on the rugby league calendar. Every year, each team roll out some very special jerseys designed by some local artists. Have you boys seen in them all, or any of them that stand out to you?
Yeah, well, obviously the Brisbane Broncos one.
Incredible.
I think last year, what was it called? Last year, my cousin actually designed the Brisbane Broncos for the last 2 years. The last 2 years. So very proud of the stuff that she does. But yeah, it's a very different one this year. A bit of a brown and white colour through.
The colours are really strong.
Yeah, it's from Strady,
Nice.
which is really nice. I mean, look, from all of them, all over the park, they're really cool. It's a great round, isn't it? Like,
Did you have an Indigenous round when you were playing?
No, we didn't. No. We obviously had an Indigenous All-Stars when I was playing, but no Indigenous round. So very cool to see, and yeah, I can't wait to see them in action on the weekend.
The Bulldogs jersey stands out to me this year. I might have to bring them up for you later, but yeah, some of them are really, really strong this year. Look, boys, we might just jump straight on into the offload, eh?
Let's do it.
Sure.
All the betting trends from around the comp. This is the offload.
Jumping into the offload, Oscar, this week in your article, you've highlighted some First Nations players that are massive for their clubs.
Yep.
Should we go through a few of those?
Have a little sticky beak. Yeah, I think over the last few years, the NRL's Indigenous round has laid the platform for some pretty superstar or highlight reel performances from some of our First Nations players. I just picked out a few that have been, I guess, commanding the headlines this year, starting with the Hammer. Back last week, looked like he didn't miss a beat. 2 tries on return at Suncorp Stadium. I think half of Suncorp was on him to score any time in that game.
I certainly was.
Well, yeah, excited about that too.
One word that stood out to me, Wayne said it in the press conference after the game, his anticipation in terms of popping up in support at exactly the right time.
Yeah.
Like, part of it is because he's just so sickly quick that he can get there.
Yeah, I was going to say, because you can overrun all those things a lot, but his timing is good. Because when he gets that ball off an offload or something, or a bounce,
he's
like
always,
I don't think I've ever seen a guy that you've just gone, you're not going to catch him.
Like, he's always hitting the ball at almost top speed in terms of his timing, coming onto it. And yeah, I think that's probably a quality that I've certainly notice in terms of some of the great Indigenous players.
I think Matty Bowen. I would say Matty Bowen was probably one of the best I watched when
Preston
I was growing
Campbell
up.
as
Yeah,
well.
like
Wesser comes
Wesser,
to mind.
I always said also.
Yep.
So yeah, just
special.
this beautiful knack of that. I mean, they say they're lucky they get the bounce of the ball, but it's not luck. It's the work that he puts in early. He's always moving his feet.
And I think when people say luck, you've got to understand these guys have been playing footy since they were kids. They understand the bounce of the ball.
Yep. Yeah.
They can see where it's going to go. Yep. I know that sounds crazy because it's an oval-shaped ball, but when you're playing your best footy, you know where the ball's going to go, and you pick where it's going to go, and you go that way, and it sometimes just comes off.
Yep. Next up, Selwyn Cobbo. I think what he's doing at the moment, or particularly last week with the number 1 on his back, I'm sure Uncle Nick Politis was watching that one closely, as well as maybe a few other football club GMs. But yeah, I think for Cobbo, I wrote in the article, like, his power, speed, balance, size, like that combination that athletic combination is not something we see very often in the NRL. Someone that big, that skillful, that quick, that mobile, and I think most of the players who can lay claim to those qualities have been Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander heritage.
Yep.
Yeah.
Guys like Greg, guys like Latrell when he's fit.
Yeah.
I love watching Selwyn play fullback. He didn't make he didn't score off it, but one of his kick returns last week, caught it in the breadbasket, ball in the left hand to fend with his right, switched to his right to fend with his left, switched back to his left to fend with his right, 2 more fends with his right, and almost got away.
It's
like
just reactionary, Like you can't
It's insane.
And it looks so easy, but it,
like the way
you speak to it,
he tosses it away. Just the way you could. Sometimes when you're feeling like that, you just toss the ball across, and it's a reaction for your arm to go like that. Like it is, even if there's no one there. Like you'll watch footy players do it a lot. If they feel like they've got space on this side, they'll toss it just in case they need it on that side. It's what he did was special.
Yeah. I love watching Cobbo play. He gives Brisbane great depth at fullback right now.
Years of him to come as well.
I know.
Do you? Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere.
Hey. Cody Walker down in South Sydney. Obviously, Rabbitohs are in a bit of a shit fight at the moment, but been really impressed with Cody's efforts. 1 try, 7 assists.
And who do you choose from there?
From his past 5 games?
Well, from Indigenous boys, they've got them all over the board.
I struggled to choose, I wrote Latrell, I wrote Jack, I wrote AJ, but I think he's the heart and soul of that team right now. He's averaging more touches per game than he has throughout his entire career. He's trying his ass off. Scored a very nice try last week. So, I'm looking forward to watching Cody this weekend against the Eels, who are struggling almost as bad as Souths right now. Nico, very excited. I was talking to a good mate of mine the other day. Very excited to see a proud Aboriginal man lead the state of New South Wales in an Origin series with the number 7 on his back. I don't know the stats on the last time there was an Indigenous halfback playing for the Blues, but I have a feeling it would have been quite a long time ago. He thoroughly deserves his opportunity. I've spoken about his defence on here before, but he's without a doubt the best option for the Blues right now, and such a net positive in what he does on the field.
If he doesn't get it, I mean, we're rubbing our hands together.
What else can you do?
Yeah.
And last but not least, a bit of a different player to the names I've mentioned already, but David Fifita, what he does for that Gold Coast Titans outfit, we've spoken about him a lot over the last few weeks. But he's developing into a very, very well-rounded top-tier back rower. Really interesting stat. He had 11 try assists in his first 5 years in the NRL. He's had 13 try assists in his last 30 games.
Wow. Jesus.
So that gives you an idea of how he's developed. He's not just a battering ram anymore. He's learning to have a little tip pass option. Khan Pereira's scoring tries for fun out there. So, there's 5 big Indigenous name players that I'm looking forward to watching in NRL's Indigenous round this weekend.
Beautiful. All right, let's talk some gambling. There's a few massive games this weekend. I will start with the Battle of Brookvale on Friday night.
Yep.
Manly are $1.95 to Melbourne's $1.87. I know Munster's out. Do we think Manly have a chance here without him, or can Melbourne rally and just continue their run of form?
Yeah, Melbourne. They played well against the Broncos last week. Manly did, but Melbourne are just too good. I think they've found their spark again. Like last year, they were a little bit on and off each game, but they're just getting better and better as the year goes on as well, and they're putting themselves in another position to be there and about for another premiership. So, I just don't see Manly with the troops they don't have. It was another big week for them. It's a lot. I think they gave a lot last week, and. Yeah, I think they'll really struggle to back up against Melbourne.
The Storm also had that month to start the year without Munster, so they clearly know how to do it. So I think they would value here.
I think the best quality that Melbourne are playing with right now is what Harry Grant's doing at a dummy half.
Yeah,
he's toying with middle defenders right now, and the one area that Manly have been very poor, the area that Manly are falling away in games is when their bench middles come on.
Yeah.
The 15 minutes either side of half time, there are a lot of spaces in and around the ruck. So, I think there could be another.
But it's always an interesting game, this one. And I'm not saying that, Melbourne are going to blow them out. I still think it'll be a tight one. But if you're tipping two tight sides to chip each other right at the end, it'll be Melbourne. Yeah.
Go back and watch Battle of Brookvale before this one, punters. I reckon they'll show it a few times.
Surely Matt Nagle talks about it on Fox this
have
week.
a look at this game.
I think Dill might have asked him on Friday to talk about it.
Two of the teams on top of the ladder, the Sharks and the Panthers, will go at it this weekend. The Sharkies look a bit short for me here at $1.60.
Yeah.
Penrith did get upset by the Warriors at Magic Round last week, but do we really think they lose 2 in a row?
No. I like the Sharks.
It's going to be a good game this one.
They keep getting better and better, right? Just week in and week out with, this year, there's still a long time to go. So they've still got a lot to do. But we can say they've bettered themselves from last year of, playing top sides. They're getting each week. They're understanding what each role's got to be. So, but yeah, Penrith we know what Penrith give. It's going to be a juicy game.
I think the reason the Sharks' attack is so good is because Nico's so good at identifying cues in the line. So he'll see a tackler retreating late down a short side or a big front rower trying to catch a breath out on an edge somewhere, and he's good enough to quickly expose an action, design an action to expose it. Penrith give the least defensive cues in the competition for an attacking team to respond to. So yeah, I'm probably leaning towards Penrith in that one.
It's rare you get Penrith as underdogs.
What are they paying there? Like $2 plus, $2.30 or $20
$2.35 or something, which is pretty long odds for 3-time.
And I don't know a side like yes, they're well drilled like the Sharks, but what you've got to understand how long do they keep going?
Yeah,
I mean, how can they keep winning? And I know it's a mentality thing. I just don't think they keep winning. There's got to be a chink in the armour somewhere. Yeah,
first proper test almost this year.
Yes. Yep.
Sunday afternoon, we've got a rare time slot for Brisbane. Broncos v Titans. Titans normally stand up against their big brother.
They do.
That happens more often than you think. Do we think the Titans cover the 13.5 point line at the very least?
They've just lost Jamin Jolliffe, which doesn't sound really relevant in terms of who wins this game.
It'll be the first time someone's ever said that sentence.
Shout out Jamin, who's been getting through 65 minutes a week since Tino exited the season. Jamin's been immense for them. He gets through so much work through the middle of the field. It's
a tough one, this one.
It is. I went last year and they lost.
You talked about this last week.
I'm going again this year.
Yep.
You are. Well,
you said you weren't going to go to any more
I know,
games.
but my son wanted to go,
fair
and
enough.
I'm not going to turn him away from a Sunday afternoon at Suncorp Stadium
Mate,
at
it's the
2
best
p.m.
time.
Toddy Boy said no. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, sorry, brother. So I am heading there with the little fella, unless he's not good. I won't be going. So let's hope he keeps getting sick. No, that's savage. Yeah, it is always a time. But I just don't see. This is what happened last year. The Broncos were flying.
Yep.
And the Titans came along and took it away from them on
Was
the
it a
Sunday.
high scoring game or did they just make it ugly?
No, I think they got away by. It might have been
a couple of quick tries.
Yeah, at the end, I think they took it away from them at the end. Really, significantly.
Because that's what I
left early.
Did you?
Yeah.
Good on you for admitting it, bro.
I know. I've got to get out of there.
That's healing.
It is. Yeah, I think they did get away from it last year. So I think there'll be a lot of conversations about that.
18-12 it finished last year.
Yeah, so did they score late or whatever? Anyway, but I think they scored like right at the end to push it out where they weren't going to come back.
Yep.
And there was a lot of filthy fans because it was a big day.
Yeah.
Because we don't get games like that on a Sunday at Suncorp Stadium. So, yeah, I just think the Broncos will be too good again, and I hope I don't have to eat my words.
I think they should be too good as well. I'm just looking at the line, which is currently at 14.
Well, we get Billy back. We get
14-point line's too big not to take on.
I'm just thinking it's very easy to picture Khan Pereira scoring one. Yeah, I'd probably be looking at the line in that one.
Yeah, I think so too. Yep. All right. When we get back, we're going to jump into a story time with you, Gerald.
Strap yourself in. It's story time with Gerald.
Story time with Gerald Yao Yi. Where are you taking us this week?
Well, look,
mate?
on Friday I did say we were going to go to the Super League, but then I realised when I chatted about this, but I realised it is Indigenous round, and I got a story about Indigenous camp when I was Indigenous camp in 2010, actually. Like all camps, when you go into an enjoyable camp for Origin, for Australia.
It's a serious atmosphere in there, isn't it?
It's a very serious atmosphere, apart from the first night, where usually you sort of have a couple of sherbets and enjoy yourself. And this was no different in year two, I believe, is 2011 actually. So year two, we sort of got together and had a few drinks. I'm not sure if anyone remembers this, but there was a bit of dramas on. There was a bit of drama from someone being split on our first training session, and it all stems from our first drink up, actually. So as all good young men do, we went home. We actually did go home early. It would have been about 8 o'clock at night, so we knew we had to train the next day. But it'd been a full day of enjoying ourselves. Not sure if All-Star camps are like that anymore, but. When we stay on the Gold Coast, we stayed at like the Salt and Pepper Shaker there, and we were all stayed on one floor. So you roomed with. I was roomed with Matty Bowen was my roommate,
nice.
Which was really really cool.
I'm just looking at the team list right
Who
now.
else was on it? Was Preston?
Well,
Who do you remember from the team that year?
Well, this is tough then. My fullback would have been Mango, I think.
Yeah, Mango was fullback.
Wingers would have been me because it was the second year.
Yes.
And maybe Fergie Ferg. No, it wasn't.
The great and powerful Nathan Merritt.
Yep. The centres may have been Fergie Ferg.
No. Another South Sydney lesser known hero in the centres.
Who?
Bo Champion. And Willie Tonga were in the centres.
Okay. Was there a Jamal Idris and a Greg Bird in this one?
There was a Jamal Idris and a mighty back row of Corey Patterson, Jamal Idris and Greg Bird.
So this story goes down with us coming back up to the room and all the boys sort of mucking around in the hallway because no one else can get on our level, obviously, literally. No one else can get on our level. So, and there was a bit of a commotion in one of the rooms and Greg Bird's walked out and he's got claret everywhere. Oh, no. Just full claret everywhere. And everyone's like, what's going on? Didn't know what's happened. Apparently there's been a pretty serious wrestle in the room with Gemma and Birdie. Immediately instincts kick in. We're like, how are we going to cover this up? Our first, so it's just been a little muck around wrestle and they've head clash. But obviously Jamal's head's been a lot stronger than Birdie's. And I'm talking, like the doc was there and he had to do, I think it was like 10 stitches. Oh. And this was like, so we played on this Saturday night and this was the Sunday. So...
okay, they don't have... NRL.com says Birdie got through 20 minutes, but it says every player got through 20 minutes.
So
they just strap him up.
I'm not sure if there would have been a story about this, but we did cover it up with our first wrestle training session that morning and said that he got split.
Oh, nice.
For any journalists out there who missed that one, unfortunate for you. But that's sort of how it began, and Indigenous camps were always so enjoyable. With this one, there was a lot of panic on panic stations when let me say the doc wasn't enjoying himself that day as well. So
God, he earned his money.
It was so funny to watch that happen, and the boys were thoroughly enjoying it. So story time with JOY Indigenous camp.
Very nice. All right, let's jump straight into Fog's Fast Five. I wanted to use my allocated time this week to ask you, Oscar, a couple of questions.
Ask us. No,
ask us. Yeah, no, I want to pick your brain because there's
So when the punters say I'm stupid, I can say, no, Gerald backed me up.
The punters like to blow up about a lot of things in our comment sections, and one of the things that came up about a video we posted the other day was a lot of people asking people A, to bring back scrums, or B, to get rid of scrums.
Get rid of them. Yep.
Completely. So I'll throw to you, Oscar.
Yep.
Are scrums a waste of time?
No, they're not. We're going to call this segment SOS, Save Our Scrums.
Yep.
So I write an article about it almost once a year.
What is the point of scrums?
Well, the point of a scrum is to get a bunch of defenders into one area on the field and open up space on the edges. If you think about what an attacking system or a good ball set or literally anything that an attacking team is trying to do with the ball, what they're trying to do is to create more space and more positive matchups for their best attacking players.
Creating a free backline swing. Yeah.
So the scrum is just an accentuated version of what a team is trying to do throughout a set of six. They're trying to get a specific defender up against a specific attacker in a way that they want.
And I think if they're the people who are probably the people who want to get rid of it are the people who love the contested scrum, I would say. And those days are just gone. You can still win a scrum. You just have to be smart about it with your hooker and how you do it. That's why they're called hookers, because they're the only people allowed to hook for the ball in scrums. Not the other reason, guys. But I will say this. Let me set a scene for you. If it's an Origin game and there's 2 minutes to go, and there's a drop ball and it's 10 metres out and the other team needs to score, I mean, isn't that more exciting to have a scrum than to play the ball?
Yep. Completely.
Completely. Because it gives the other opportunity for the team who's dropped the ball, who's made an error, and that's the whole reason why the scrums are created. Because if you have an error, you can't just get away for a scotch-free and have all your defenders ready back on the line. Otherwise, people will probably drop the ball all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't bother them. When you take a scrum, you're putting your best defenders on your best attackers And that's the way it's supposed to be. I love scrums. We've probably seen some of the best tries scored off scrums in the times, and that's because teams get together, players get together with their coaches there, and show them this is what we want to run. These are the reasons why. Tactically, it's genius idea, and if you're if you're a person like yourself, Oscar, who likes watching the game tactically. Yep. That's what it's for. So for all the purists who are, who want the scrum to be back, we'll just write into your clubs and tell the hookers to hook for it then, instead of just giving it away. Because you can still push as well. There's no. So you can. It is, but people have just stopped because it takes away. I think they're giving too much energy when when you're pushing in scrum. So
people are focusing on that contested aspect, not the free play that they get off.
And if you push right and you don't get it right, and everyone falls over, the team that's pushing, it's so much harder to get back to your defensive set. Yep, so. Sure. Yeah, there's the reason why the scrum has changed over the years, and I think we've got the best way for it.
It's also a chance for lesser teams to trouble, like a better chance for lesser teams to trouble the scoreboard.
Yes,
like
definitely.
The best, like Penrith are going to put Isaac Tungo one-on-one with his opposite centre more often than the average centre gets because Penrith's systems are so good.
Yep.
If I'm South Sydney or Parramatta this year, I can get into your red zone and setting up a scrum automatically puts my best centre up against one-on-one with a defender. Like it's a way, it's another opportunity for the lesser teams.
So that matchup that you've just talked about kind of guides me to the next question. Yep. Teams can obviously choose to pack on a certain aspect of the field, left, middle, or right at the moment. What's the point of packing a scrum in those different areas, and do teams switch it up, or do they normally do the same thing every time?
They'll switch it up based on what area of the field the scrum is in. So if it's an attacking scrum versus an exit set scrum. It'll change based on what defenders the attacking team wants to target.
You watch a lot of video on your defence, the way your team defends those scrums. There might be a centre who turns in, or there might be a half who turns in, or they like to jam, that team, and that's where that big rainbow ball comes in. Like there is a lot of things that they see when they go and do their video sessions at the start of the week. So it's not just people listening, it's not just for no reason. There's reasons why they goes in the middle, they pack them in the middle, or why they pack them on the scrum line on each side. That's their tactical ways.
And there's different defensive tactics as well.
Yes.
Like you'll see from a midfield scrum, it would make sense for you to have 3 defenders on either side of the field. Well, if the attacking team puts 5 on their right edge for movement down that right tram line and only 1 on the left, do you mirror those numbers? Or like Melbourne Storm will always keep their 3 and 3 the same in the middle scrums, and they trust the guys from the scrum to break really hard and create the numbers from the inside. So it's a big tactical game of cat and mouse.
I like, even when it's the crappier leagues, where I'm coaching, I like to have open field. Like we will never do a 3 and 3 just because I just feel like players will. It's harder to do it because players will split from the scrum early because the refs aren't as good. So
broken tackles.
Yeah, so you sort of want more space because you use your faster players in those situations. So it's just for everything. You can change it up.
That's probably a question for you then, Dral. When you're drawing up a scrum play, especially for like a Westerana, is success purely just about scoring, or are you trying to work to one spot and then create a play?
I'm just worried about to get from one side of the field to the other, because I find that in this league, people get a bit scattered when they don't know where they're supposed to be. So defensive shapes get a bit scattered. So even if we don't score over that side, they're rushing. They don't know where they've got to be. They don't know how tight they've got to be at A, and then we possibly crash over. That's just the way that I play our boys, because we've got a fullback who's played a lot of internationals. So I think he knows what to do.
I think a team like the Rabbitohs, I'll use again as an example. I can't remember the last time they fired a shot trying to score straight off a scrum. What Souths will do is they'll get to a point on the field. They know if they take one carry to the left off a midfield scrum, for example, they're going to get defenders X and Y into the tackle, which means defenders Z is going to have to go here. So they're playing 3 or 4 tackles ahead in terms of, we can position this defender here, we can get this defender to make this many tackles.
It's genius,
which means that by 4th or 5th, we're going to be at this point on the field to shift it to AJ in the corner, for example. So I think it's all depends on the team's preference.
Yeah, I think so. I think you kind of just answered my next question about what a set of 6 looks like when drawing up one, so I'll just skip that one and jump here. Would you boys change anything about how they're used, or do you think we've nailed it at the moment?
This is a good question. I come up with a bit of a loopy, fruity kind of answer here.
Well, I suppose you probably could, because, and you'll probably answer this, but there is probably opportunities where you don't have them on scrum lines. You could be,
Anywhere on the field?
anywhere on the field,
Wherever the ball is dropped.
wherever you get to pick anywhere on that line. Yeah. So it could be inside far posts and inside the scrum line, and that creates that. Drama of
awkwardness.
Awkwardness, or do we that just extra little space? So, and teams will figure that out, and you'll probably answer.
I thought about that too. I just sort of another funny one, which would be if the attacking team could choose how many players to commit to
into
the scrum, and it was unlimited.
Yeah.
So if I get a scrum on your trial, I mean, look, speaking out loud, people are going to punch holes through this theory.
No, I like it.
I can say, yep, we're putting 4 into the scrum, and then I'm stacking how does maths work?
Yeah.
9 out the back. Or am I saying, no, we got to have 10 players in here at the scrum, and then I'll put a winger on either side, and it's like, do you know what I mean? Like
that would be cool.
Obviously, it wouldn't work. There's honestly,
I'm more for the more people in the scrum, because then we're getting to see. Like we never really get to see a lot of the time, people one-on-one.
Just a one-on-one.
Well, just a one-on-one. And as our game evolves, defensively, you got to get better. You got to get defenders who can do those one-on-one tackles, and you got to get attackers who love that shit. Like that'd be awesome.
But and imagine like you're saying, okay, we're gonna get I've got Dean Mariner out here. Cool, let's put him one-on-one. But then the next week I'm going, let's put Payne Haas out here.
Yeah.
And then the defense has got to go, shit, do I put a winger into the scrum and put one of our back rowers or someone out?
Well, Payne's like a centre.
Mate, imagine tackling Payne one-on-one out there. So, I don't know if that's actually a feasible change.
That would be very cool.
Mate, scrums are one of the most intriguing parts of our game. So please don't get rid of it, PBL. Yeah. Keep it.
That's it's great to pick your brain there, boys. Big fan of that. Look, when we come back, we'll jump into the multi.
Surely they get one up this week. It's the NRL Podcast Multi.
You boys had a 3-leg multi last week without me, and
there we go.
Looks like you need me because according to Ryan's notes, none of you hit.
Herbie, this has become a real issue. This multi,
become. I think
a bit of head noise.
My year and a half, it's always been an issue.
We're just super cool, fun guys.
Yeah,
so.
Look, we do well on our own.
We love our rugby,
but
league.
we can't pick one together.
Yeah. So Oscar last week had Herbie Farnworth, no dice,
and I went
the
to
winger,
Fox.
the back rower scored,
and he scores all the time at Suncorp Stadium.
Oh, that's right. You were calling for that penalty try when grubbing it.
And you're like, no.
into the Paddington.
I was like, no, give it to him. Give it to him.
And then Ryan had the Storm to cover, which I don't believe
that hit?
They did.
No.
Has he put himself? He's put a little.
He wrote second
money
week with
emoji
failed
there.
hit a leg, so maybe he did hit. Apologies, Ryan. He's not here to defend himself.
Oh, they
48,
would.
16.
You know what?
they
They probably
covered,
covered. All right. So you boys suck. Ryan did all right.
I just can't get a multi one back.
Flying mullet. He's
Jesus.
killing it.
The record as it stands, Oscar's 5-7. Jarrell, you're 3-9.
That's terrible.
Ryan's 8-4. Humming. He's not the issue.
No.
And then I'm 3-8. Obviously, I'm.
No, well, you're 3-9 because you weren't here.
Yeah,
so.
that's a loss,
That's fair enough. A loss is a loss. This week, we're back to full strength. Ryan's jumping in despite him not being here. Jarrell, we'll start with your leg.
Yeah, well, with a few talking points in our WhatsApp group, I'm just going to take Storm.
Yep.
What are they paying? $1.60? 64, 65. So, yeah, I'm just... Please, Melbourne, something.
Oscar, you've taken a bit of value, I think, on the Thursday night game or the early Friday game?
Thursday night, up the Dargans, fresh off a bye. They're as full strength as they've been named this year. Sele's back. Luciano Leilua is back. They're up against the Bulldogs, who I've spoken a fair bit about on this pod. I'm not convinced about Canterbury yet this season. So, yeah, I think the value of the Dargans at 245 at time of recording on Wednesday is very good. Happy with that.
Very nice. Ryan is taking the Panthers to cover the line. They're plus 3.5. It's rare you see a positive Panthers line. And I'm going slightly conservative. I'm taking the Roosters to cover an alternate line, minus 3.5 against the Raiders, I believe they're playing.
Yep.
All up, I'll just need to double check with the bookies, but I believe it's about $11.
That's juicy.
$10.98.
Not bad
There
at
you
all.
go.
Yeah.
About 11. That's close enough.
$10.97. Sorry, bro.
That's all right. That's all right.
That's good. I like that.
Prices are obviously subject to change.
The four premiership heavyweights we're basically taking this
Yeah,
week.
yeah.
Storm, Roosters, Penrith, and the Dogs.
Sure.
Have the Dogs slipped into the 8 yet?
I think they're sneaky 8 or 9.
Oh, hell.
dear.
What have I done?
They're ninth. They're ninth.
All right, boys, what are we looking forward to this weekend?
Oh, well, obviously the talent on show for all our Indigenous stars. I mean, they play to their potential week in and week out. But I can tell you this: there'll be a little bit more in it this weekend. Having welcome to countries, acknowledgement to countries. Being able to have a week in the community as well. I know a lot of clubs are doing. It's awesome, and to a lot of those Indigenous players and non-Indigenous players, it's a great week. So I think we're going to see some great footy and some great tries from our Indigenous players all over the park.
Have you got an Indigenous try scorer tip for us?
Oh, well, I can't go past Selwyn Cobbo. And he's obviously a Bronco. Like, he's hitting his straps at the right time for Origin. So, yeah, I think he'll get over again this weekend. If my multi doesn't get up, and that does, I'll be fucking fuming.
Same game multi for that one, maybe.
Might have to.
Cobbo into Alefiana Khan Pereira for the
bad.
Titans.
Maybe Davey.
I'm not sure what mob Loffy comes from, but I'm fairly sure
He
he's
is, yes, correct.
I'm looking forward to seeing some of the Indigenous boys try celebrations.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
You
yes.
shake a legs.
Shake a leg.
I love the energy that some of those boys play with, and I think particularly for the Rabbitohs, I'm going to need all of our Indigenous guns to step up this week.
Maybe a
so
bit
Jack
of
Whiten into the halves.
Latrell.
Yeah, little Trail Bunny.
I believe actually last year, I think it was because there's a Pacific round, isn't there? Is there a
Yes.
Pacific round?
Yep.
So I'm pretty sure last year for Indigenous round, Selwyn Cobbo did a Māori celebration.
Did he?
And I think Xavier Willison, when he scored in the Pacific
did a
round,
shake a
he did a
leg.
shake a
He
leg,
did.
which is pretty cool. They swapped their celebrations for each round. So that'd be pretty cool to see again.
Very nice. Look, I'm just looking forward to Ryan getting back. It's stressful, buddy. Guiding you boys around the
Me
park.
too, bro. I'm looking forward to him.
You know,
coming
I
back.
am a host of a radio show. If you ever need
Yeah.
someone to host it,
You
if
know,
don't
I can
feel
talk
comfortable.
underwater.
This it's my big break, boys. Don't ruin it for me. What are we going to name the app this week, boys?
Oh, no mullet.
No.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, it's obviously got to be something Indigenous, maybe. What are we going to call it? I don't know. We're going to have to think of something.
We'll brainstorm off air.
All right.
Yeah,
Beauty.
we'll bring
All
us
right.
off of there.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Give us a subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Check us out on socials. Rate us out of 5.
And
Give us
ride
5.
this multi.
Neds,
please.
open groups,
Now, yeah,
tips.
we're
this weekend.
gonna go hard. I took a week off.
Fill-ups
because
are coming.
Magic Round got a serious hold on me, but I'm back in there this weekend.
I should have taken a week off.
Returning to form. I've done well lately.
Nice.
Just ask me.
Yeah, we
All right.
gave you a shout out last
Thanks,
week, mate.
boys. All right, we're gonna get out of here. Thanks for listening,
Goodbye.
punters.
Let's go.
Hooroo.
Thanks for listening to Ned's NRL Unpopular Opinions. Enjoyed the podcast? Remember to like, subscribe, and rate the show wherever you get your podcasts.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.